The African Continental Free Trade Area Secretary General Wamkele Mene says Africa should look at boosting intra-trade to lessen the burden of the sweeping tariffs announced by the United States. Mene says his entity is working hard to support member states in meeting their targets. He was speaking to SABC News reporter Khayelihle Khumalo on the sidelines of the Africa50 shareholders meeting in Maputo.
It's a pivotal moment here in Mozambique as the country is hosting Africa50's annual meeting. It's all about really just looking at the infrastructure development in Africa, and all of this really coincides with the very uncertainties in the global space. You look at the recent tariffs coming from the US, but obviously now the continent is looking at its own resources really in terms of really cushioning the repercussions from that. But joining us now is the Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Mr. Mene, once again, said thank you so much and welcome to SABC.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Lovely. Maybe just once again, sir, let's look at events like this one. Obviously, it's all about mobilizing African resources, key institutions like Africa50. I would imagine creating those synergies with the borders like yours in terms of making sure that Africa is able to position itself.
Absolutely. The partnership with Africa50 will enable the AfCFTA and its implementation to succeed. Without the right capital being invested in trade supporting infrastructure, we will not be able to double intra-Africa trade in 10 years' time. And we signed an MOU today, and one of the areas of focus that we will be looking at with Africa50 is identifying trade-supporting infrastructure projects and taking them to bankability and financing. I mentioned during my segment my visit to the Gambia and the transformative investment that was made by investing in the financing of the bridge connecting Senegal to the Gambia, which I drove over and crossed the border. And those kinds of impactful investments are absolutely critical to us redoubling intra-Africa trade. The cost of transport and logistics is high. You heard today from President Adesina that the cost of infrastructure, the infrastructure deficit, is estimated to be at $170 billion. And so these partnerships with Africa50, AFDB, African Bank, Africa Finance Corporation are very, very important for us to realize the vision of boosting intra-Africa trade. All of them combined offer a balance sheet of over $130 billion. We have to work with them to identify the sectors of Africa's economy where that investment will be deployed so that they see commercially priced on their returns. We see returns on the investment in terms of the redoubling of intra-Africa trade.
And just once again, sir, all of this coincides with a very harsh global environment. I mean, you look at the sweeping tariffs. I think Mozambique got about 15%, the likes of South Africa 30%, and Algeria and many others as well with the exorbitant percentage. How should the member states deal with this new environment, reshaping the global trade? And what can institutions like yours do to sort of really just lessen this colossal burden?
Certainly in the immediate term, there will be a materially adverse impact on all of the countries that you've mentioned and the economy of Africa. Let's put aside the global economy for 1 second. Many countries in Africa, close to 30 countries, are beneficiaries of AGOA. And through these tariffs, we have seen nullification of AGOA. Market access to the United States is now gone. And in my estimation, it's gone forever. The real question, as you asked, what do we do? How do we navigate this environment? I believe with a market of 1.4 billion people, and a combined GDP of 3.4 trillion United States dollars, which is projected to reach close to 16 trillion by the year 2050, we have the capacity to develop a domestic market. By domestic market, I mean an African market. You take our neighbor, for example, Lesotho. Lesotho has lost about $780 million worth of exports to the US because of the tariffs. I believe that there is an opportunity in this crisis for countries such as Lesotho, South Africa, Madagascar, Angola, Nigeria, all of these countries that have been very, very negatively affected by the tariffs to reshape